we have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff that should we call the Capitol Police? I mean the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient resources.
No, there's not a question of how they had been. They don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
Members of Congress are terrified of the intel agencies. I'm not guessing at that. They've told me that, including people on the Intel Committee, including people who run the Intel Committee, the people whose job it is to oversee and keep in line these enormous, secretive agencies whose budgets we can't even know. They're black budgets.
Yes, from all indications, Trump was right. I don't know. Take a look at this video.
Nancy Pelosi, why would I tell you that? Listen, Nancy Pelosi was in charge of security. She turned down 10,000 soldiers. If she didn't turn down the soldiers, you wouldn't have had January 6th.
Did you call military or law enforcement?
What?
Did you call military or law enforcement at the moment the Capitol was under attack?
I'm not going to tell you anything. Let me put it this way. I behaved so well. I did such a good job. Nancy Pelosi turned down 10,000 soldiers. If she didn't do that, and now
Nancy
I understand.
Pelosi doesn't have the authority that you have as commander-in-chief, though.
Listen to me, Kristen. Listen to me. I understand that the police testified against her, the chief very strongly against her, Capitol Police, great people. They testified against her, and they burned all the evidence. Okay, they burned all the evidence. They destroyed all the evidence about Nancy Pelosi.
What do you say?
Yes, Democrats have spent 3 years gaslighting Americans that Trump was to blame for the event of J6, even though he offered to authorize thousands of National Guard troops. Here, new footage of Nancy Pelosi taking responsibility for not having the National Guard at J6. Immediately, she rushed to MSNBC to respond to this. According to this tweet, Nancy Pelosi responded MSNBC to the bombshell behind the scene footage of her admitting responsibility for the lack of National Guard troops on J6. They are trying to do revisionalize history on J6. We cannot let us be dragged into their again false impressions of what happened that day. Speaker Pelosi, why was Deputy Chief of Staff transcribed testimony before the J6 committee suppressed and blocked from public view when he said Trump had suggested 10,000 National Guard troops would be needed to keep peace?
Why do you think this is stirred up and a brouhaha on the right and in some corners of the media today?
Well, because of the fact is that the President of the United States, the former president, and his toadies do not want to face the facts. And I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more. They're trying to do revisionist history on January 6th. And I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more. But we cannot let us be dragged into their, again, false impression of what happened that day. They know what happened that day. And I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more. They know how serious it is and was and continues to have an impact on our country. And yet they want to call the people who were in there hostages. Last night I received the Lincoln Award. I was so proud of receiving that. And I said in my remarks, Lincoln built the dome on the Capitol. He insisted that it be built during the Civil War so that it could show the resilience of America. And to see these people coming through the Capitol with their foul deeds and foul actions, waving Confederate flags and Nazi flags under Lincoln's dome was so shameful. And yet this president who incited, this former president who incited this insurrection would not send the National Guard for hours.
And I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
People were harmed, people were killed, but died one way or another.
And I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
And what did he do but try to deny that any of it happened? This is a terrible thing, but let us not take away the attention of what we need to do to go forward. We have to unify our country. We have to bring people together in a way that honors the vision of our founders, the sacrifice of our men and women in uniform, as well as the aspirations of our children. I just came back from D-Day in Normandy to see our veterans there it was the 80th anniversary of it. Some of the youngest of them were 97, some over 100. They fought for our freedom, and yet you see how it is being denigrated by the former president and his Republican toadies.
And I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
Yes, I didn't know I will be coming back to this. We thought this topic has died down, but from all indication, it hasn't. A lot of things like this, some might say, and Nancy Pelosi struggling to, debunk it. It is insane. We have seen the video. We've heard what she said. There is no other way that you can convince people about this video. Yeah. She does not want people to be dragged back into history of what happened because she realized this video might cause a lot of problems to her. Reason you see her behaving this way. It is high time people see the truth. Trump said of this interview, I think I once saw, I said that National Guard should be deployed, but Pelosi rejected it. Now we have seen it clearly. So can you deny that Trump didn't say it? Because that is what they claimed throughout that hearing. I did a lot of videos on that. It is high time. This was time for the truth. Because people are now drawing conclusions like it was a setup, like to put Trump into trouble, like what is going on. Which is insane. I understand the kind of game this people play, but it should not be like that. You don't play politics, to the detriment of people. When you have done wrong, accept it and acknowledge, then you move on. Or apologize. Than to continue to play this politics on people's lives. It is crazy to me.
Imagine if AOC got to write history books and they said, why did people sneak into
Why do you think this is stirred up and a brouhaha